Why the need for a creativity perspective? Quite simply, the mind which created the problem mind wishes to solve is not the mind that will solve the problem. Yet the creativity that mind seeks, which will provide the desired solution, is held captive in a cage created by one's current mind and what it thinks and believes. Hence, becoming creative is about learning to unlock the cage which mind itself has created. In this regard, we each have to often embrace what we do not like and or fear. We have to embrace a perspective that will allow us to see differently. We will have to embrace a perspective that allows us to create what we desire regardless of what our ego likes and dislikes. We have to embrace a new perspective regardless of what our ego thinks about that perspective and what that perspective requires us to do or not do. The perspective we need to embrace obviously depends on what we desire to create. If we wish to create a building, then we need an engineering perspective. If we wish to fix a broken arm, we need a medical perspective. If we wish to control a communicable disease, then we need a social health perspective. If we wish to create, we need a perspective of a creator. Creativity perspective is the perspective of a creator. The creativity perspective is a perspective where we see and understand how it's possible that we are the creators of the experiences we have and the reality of those experiences. It does not deny that there is a creator with a capital C of the world we experience, which we can call God if we choose, but it is to see that we are creations within a creation and that we have a free will. We are free to create whatever we choose to create. While in the human body, we are within the bounds of physical creation, and we are bound by physical creation for many things. But there are things we can create that lie outside the physical. There is no judgment on what we create. However, there are consequences on our actions and what we create for the time and place of our creation. If there were any judgment on what we create, we would not have a free will. We will not be free to choose, and in many ways we would only be puppets on a string. The real issue is, what are the consequences for what we choose to create for the time and place we find ourselves? The creativity perspective, where our creativity is held sacred, will work in all situations to help us to get what we need. It is to embrace the depth and breadth of our creative power and creative ability. It does not necessarily replace any other perspective we hold. Rather, it allows us to step beyond the current perspective we have to create what we desire. We may only need an engineering or a physician's perspective or the like for the particular problem we face and wish to solve. The creativity perspective will help us to see and create the perspective we need. There is an old proverb, give a person a fish they eat for a day, teach them how to fish and they eat for a lifetime. So too creativity and the creativity perspective. The creativity perspective is about learning how to create such that we can create for a lifetime. It's about learning how to consciously create such that we can consciously create our way into or out of any situation and or experience we desire. The creativity perspective will also help us to see and understand what we need to do to get that perspective of the specialist as the need arises. There is a caveat that must be made here. It is said the creativity perspective is about consciously creating our way into or out of any situation and or experience we desire. Although this is true, we are in physical creation, and as a creator, we have intentionally limited our creativity for the purpose of having a physical experience as a human being for this time and place. As such, we may find there are additional things we need to do and or address before or in conjunction with creating our way into or out of any particular situation and or experience. Nevertheless, the creativity perspective will help us address any of those additional things.